scene opens with Connor stepping out of jail. His expression reflects resignation and perhaps a hint of defiance. He walks through the gates, where he is greeted by the imposing presence of robotic police officers. These officers, part of the Law and Crime Prevention Department, LCPD, surveil Connor closely, their mechanical eyes following his every move. Unbeknownst to many, LCPD is a government entity tasked with upholding law and order through cutting-edge robotic technology. Connor's emergence from jail marks the beginning of a new chapter, one fraught with uncertainty and conflict. As Connor navigates the streets, a sleek car suddenly pulls up beside him, its engine purring softly. Behind the wheel is Garrett, Connor's former colleague and friend. Their history is steeped in clandestine dealings and illicit activities, a partnership born out of necessity in a world where power and influence reign supreme. Garrett, with his charismatic demeanor and sharp wit, embodies the allure of the criminal underworld. He beckons Connor to join him, offering a glimpse into the realm of wealth and power they once shared. Reluctantly, Connor steps into the car, his apprehension palpable. Garrett's words carry a weight of authority and veiled threats, a reminder of the precarious balance of their alliance. Despite his misgivings, Connor knows that refusing Garrett's offer could have dire consequences. With a heavy heart, he settles into the passenger seat, bracing himself for the journey ahead. Meanwhile, the city grapples with a new phenomenon, the emergence of individuals endowed with extraordinary abilities, fueled by a potent substance known as Phyke, derived from the spinal fluid of these superpowered individuals. A wave of crime and chaos sweeps through the streets. Once revered as heroes, these individuals now find themselves marginalized by the inexorable march of technological progress. The rise of robotic law enforcement raises questions about the role of superpowered individuals in society, sparking debates about ethics, equality, and the nature of justice. Against this backdrop of societal upheaval, Connor and Garrett navigate a world fraught with danger and intrigue. Their alliance, forged in the crucible of necessity, teeters on the brink of collapse as they confront their own demons and desires. As they embark on a journey fraught with peril and betrayal, they must confront the shadows of their past and the uncertain future that awaits them.
6 months have passed since we last saw Pavni and Tarek, and things seemed pretty normal for them. Well, as normal as they could be in a world where superpowers and robotic dogs are a thing. So Pavni, the diligent college student, and her brother Tarek were just chilling outside her college after another day of hitting the books. They decide to call it a night after grabbing some dinner together, and Pavni can't help but share her excitement about acing her exams and needing some new books for her studies. But being the supportive big brother that he is, Tarek assures her that he's got her back and will take care of the expenses. Ah, what a sweet guy, right?
Now, fast forward to the next day, and we find ourselves at the LCPD's latest show and tell event. They're introducing their newest member to the squad, a shiny, state-of-the-art robotic dog. And guess who just happens to be in the crowd? Yep, you guessed it, Pavni. And let me tell you, she's feeling some kind of strange connection with this robotic pooch. Maybe it's the way its mechanical tail wags, or maybe it's just Pavni's love for all things techie. Who knows?
Meanwhile, Tarek's off doing his own thing, getting involved in some shady dealings with Garrett's crew. But it looks like things aren't going too smoothly, because Garrett's being a bit of a cheapskate and refusing to cough up the dough. Cue the confrontation. Tarek's not one to back down from a challenge, though, so he decides to do a bit of snooping around and discovers some juicy secrets about Garrett's collaboration with the LCPD officers. Thinking he's being all slick, Tarek drops off a bag filled with cash at a designated spot, thinking he's gonna make a clean getaway. But surprise, the cops show up, only to find that the bag's been swiped. Talk about bad luck. Tarek's got a sixth sense for danger, though, so he hightails it out of there, with a robotic dog hot on his heels. Now, in that situation where things take a turn for the dramatic, Tarek's running for his life, trying to shake off that relentless robotic dog. He ducks into an abandoned house, thinking he's safe, but little does he know, that mechanical mutt's still on his tail. But Tarek's not just your average guy. He's got some serious powers up his sleeve. Using his abilities, he manages to blend into the surroundings, evading the dog's detection. Meanwhile, Pavni, who's been worried sick about her brother, rushes outside just in time to see the whole thing go down. She watches in horror as the robotic dog unleashes its deadly powers on Tarek. But Pavni's not one to sit back and watch her brother get hurt. With a scream that could wake the dead, she somehow manages to deactivate the dog.
Back to the story. The scene shifts to the main character, Connor's current life, where he resides in a community center with his grandmother. In his spare time, Connor engages in cleaning and other menial tasks, which his grandmother scolds him for. At the same time, normal operations are underway at LCPD. An officer instructs everyone to leave the room and notices the canine dog, realizing its significance in relation to Pavni and her powers. Meanwhile, Connor discovers a frightened girl hiding in a small abandoned house while cleaning. She turns out to be Pavni, who shares her story of how her brother was killed by unknown assailants. While conversing, the police arrive, prompting Connor and Pavni to flee through the back route.
Elsewhere, a meeting takes place between Garrett and the police officer Kingston, where Garrett learns about the criminal designation placed on Pavni and her brother. Shocked by the news, Pavni loses control and inadvertently causes an explosion, revealing their location to LCPD. Before they can comprehend the police presence, Connor and Pavni escape the premises. As they emerge, two robotic police guardians confront them. Connor shields Pavni and engages in a battle, causing an electrical surge that disables the robots temporarily. This incident reveals that both Connor and Pavni possess unique powers, though they struggle to understand their capabilities.
As they ponder their next move, Connor remembers Garrett, whom he had previously rejected. He decides to seek Garrett's help in a hotel. Garrett, aware of Pavni's identity, points her out from another table, shocking Connor. Despite Garrett's offer of assistance, he imposes a condition that Pavni must forget about her brother, which unsettles Connor. After some persuasion, Pavni reluctantly agrees, and they prepare to leave. In the next scene, Garrett and his team take them to an abandoned house where a girl possesses the ability to erase memories. Pavni is initially scared, but the process begins as they try to recall the incident. However, Connor intervenes, refusing to let them erase his memories. A fight ensues, during which Connor breaks a water pipe, electrocuting their adversaries. Taking advantage of the situation, they escape to their grandmother's house.
As they aware cannot stay long, they quickly leave in a car, unaware that the police are tracking them. Eventually, Garrett and his team catch up with them. LCPD observes the situation through robotic police surveillance. When Garrett attempts to kill Connor, he finds himself unable to do so due to emotional turmoil. Realizing the threat, the police order the robots to open fire on Garrett's team. In the chaos, Garrett, injured by a bullet, seeks help from Connor, while Connor's grandmother bravely intervenes. Eventually, they manage to escape and save their lives. In this scene, we see Garrett and his associate waiting at a rendezvous point early in the morning. An accomplice arrives, and they discuss their tiredness from constantly running. They decide it's time to stop running and come up with a plan. Pavni suggests that the robotic dogs record everything, which could expose the police officer. They prepare to steal the robotic dogs and set out as new agents. Meanwhile, the police officer's wife brings him home. Pavni waits in the car while Garrett locks the officer's personal robotic dog outside. Inside, the officer meets them, aware that he must maintain a facade in front of his wife. Meanwhile, Pavni struggles, but eventually manages to start the robotic dog. They leave the scene successfully.
The next scene, they stop at a building where another of Garrett's men is waiting. It seems they are all part of the same team, but suddenly, Garrett destroys the robotic dog's head, shocking Connor. Garrett reveals his intention to resume his business and blackmail Kingston. Hearing this, Connor and Pavni are stunned. Meanwhile, police surround the building. Garrett goes alone to negotiate with Kingston, but Kingston suddenly stabs him. As the media and police arrive, they watch from above, confused. Connor realizes they can broadcast the truth using the media van with Pavni's help. Just as the police arrive downstairs, shots are fired at them, but Garrett saves them with his powers. Eventually, they manage to expose Kingston's truth through the broadcast, leading to his arrest. Garrett is taken into custody, and the story ends. The conclusion shows Connor still working at the community center, where Pavni also studies. Meanwhile, Garrett serves his sentence in jail, bringing the story to an end.